So I'll go ahead and actually we have Lou Brown joining us. Lou, do you want to say hello just before we get to the 8 o'clock hour?
Sure, Mr. Past President and current something of tonight.
Treasurer.
Treasurer.
Vote counter too, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Hello, everyone. Lou Brown here from Chicago, a charter member of this club and with Toastmasters since 2007.
All right, terrific, Lou.
So
right.
I have a quick question for Lou. Since Angela was doubled up with roles and her first sign up was for watcher, Lou, would you be willing to be the timer this evening?
Yes, I have to
And I'll
prepare.
cue you. I will prepare you on the speech length.
Okay, I'm just going to get my
Well, I think
electronic
Angela had prepared for timer, so maybe it's easier for Lou to take over watcher if that's the other role.
Your call, Angela.
Yes.
Okay.
I like David's idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to think of what would be easiest. And
Yes, because I have all the minutes and all that.
Okay, beautiful.
All right. So we always like to give people, we do have at least one guest tonight, some warning that the meeting will be recorded. We reserve the right to use those recordings and stills and video in our publicity for the club. Exceptions can be made on request. If you do something horribly embarrassing, let me know and I will destroy the evidence. We want to welcome you to Online Presenters Toastmasters. We meet online and we're also focused on learning skills for better webinars and online events. We want to thank Ring Central, which provides us with this Ring Central Meetings platform at no cost. And they offer it as part of their suite of web and cloud communication services. It's a good idea to use a headset or earbuds and also to mute yourself when it's not your turn. Somebody, I hear them pecking on the keyboard right now. So just to pick on whoever is pecking, the mute button in the lower left-hand corner, and actually for some reason typing comes across really loud if you're using, particularly if you're using the mic that's built into your laptop. So just be aware of the audio environment and being courteous to other people. You can also toggle your video on and off. So if you need to sneeze or leave the room or something, you can turn off the video. But we do want to be able to see who we're meeting with. Also in this video environment, you have control over what you see. You can go back and forth between this gallery view where you see everybody and the active speaker view where you see the active speaker. We warn you that if you are speaking, even in table topics, to try and keep an eye on the time. It's a good idea to have your own stopwatch or phone timing app handy as a backup so that if you lose track of the picture of the Toastmaster who's frantically waving a red card at you, you will still know that you're running out of time. Let's see. And for those who are visiting and might be interested in becoming members, we ask you to attend a couple of meetings as a guest. Click the join button that has all our applications and online payment mechanisms. We do let people know that this is an advanced club. It's not meant for absolute beginners. However, some people come to us with other experience outside of Toastmasters, so we can have some wiggle room on the requirements as necessary. With that, it is showtime, and I will pass the host controls over to Elaine and mute myself.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and everyone else who might be watching replay. We are especially hoping folks catch this replay so they can catch the lively dynamics of online presenters and advanced online Toastmasters group. This evening, we're going to have our usual order of activities. I'll be introducing roles. We're going to have 3 speeches. We will have extemporaneous responses to the table topics master. Our theme of the day is Kick Butt Day. So who knows how we're all going to be kicking butt in our roles today, in the speeches given, and kicking butt, making sure that you vote for your favorite speech, your favorite evaluator. Let me introduce right now the different people who will be doing the different roles. First off, I'd like to call on our timer for the day. Angela, please unmute. Let's see, I will unmute you. And
Hello, everybody. Yeah. That's
go
me.
right ahead.
Do what? Talk?
Yeah, tell us about Bing Timer.
Okay. All right. So the first three speakers will have 7 minutes for their talks, and I have what you need for timing you. And the evaluators will have 3 minutes. The general evaluator will have 3 minutes, and the table topic speakers will have 2 minutes. So that's our timing. Thank you.
Okay. And next we have our grammarian, John Quick. Jim Quick, excuse me. Mr. Quick, let me bring you on up. Tell us about the grammarian role, please.
I've been called Jim lately, but I'm John. It's been like a trend the last few weeks in the club.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
Proceed.
I've got to correct the grammar. Yeah, but let's see, I'll be listening for uses of words and language, if there is any in this meeting this week, and if so, I'll be reporting on the best uses at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
And what is our word of the day, Mr. Grammarian?
I don't know. Oh, wait, I'm finding it. National Kick Butt Day. The word of the day is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to go to our counter, Mr. Jim Barber. Unmute, Jim.
There we go.
There you go.
The unmute button wasn't working. Madam Toastmaster, as the Wizard of Oz tonight, I will be listening for the dreaded filled pause, that saying or ah or something like that when you shouldn't be saying anything at all. I've been scrambling trying to find a noise-making device, and I've been so busy soundproofing my office that I'm having problems, but I have found an empty coffee can. I'm going to try using that. Does that work? I'm going to trust that nobody says any ums or ahs, so you don't have to hear this anyway. But if anybody does, I will try to click you, and I will report at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jim. And now on to David Carr, who is serving as our counter for the evening. Let me unpin you, my dear Sir Jim, so I can get the right person up on the screen.
Okay.
Hang on.
But yeah, your controls actually don't change it for everybody else, just so you know. So
Thank you very much, Mr.
Anyway, I will be counting the VEDs for the major categories: the formal speeches, the table topics, and the evaluations. And if Jean-Claude Van Damme wins in any of those categories, I will report to you all.
And now we're going to move on down to Deborah Carr from Michigan, who is our table topics master. Tell us a little bit about table topics.
Well, tonight is Kick Your Butt Night. So we're going to see with the questions that I've prepared, that the questions I've prepared will unfold different things, different aspects about you. This is going to be interesting. We'll see you in a bit.
Thanks so much, Toastmaster Deborah. And now we're going to go on over to Lou Brown, our watcher for the evening. Take it away, Lou.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, as watcher, I'll be keeping an eye out for any distracting gestures, movements, etc. that may have folks taking their eye off of the speakers and putting them on you. And I'll provide, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, a kick butt report at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. We're going to proceed right on along to our 3 speeches for the evening. First up, speaker number 1 is Rachel Bruggen. She's an advanced communicator bronze, advanced leader bronze. Her evaluator is Jim Barber, and she is in the pathway of effective coaching level 1, mastering fundamentals, researching, and presenting. Managers are always talking about embracing change and never about the transition to change. Let's explore why the transition is just as important as the change. With Rachel's presentation, The End is a New Beginning. Please give a warm welcome, Toastmasters and guests, to Rachel Bruggen.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. The end is a new beginning. Over the past several weeks, I have personally been going through numerous changes in my corporate day-to-day role. Some of these changes have completely taken me by surprise, and others were changes that I expected. Effective January 1st, 2019, what I do in my current role is completely changing. And I got to thinking about how am I personally handling that? I want to be an agent of change. I want to embrace it. And how do I remain positive in this area of limbo, in this area of ambiguity? So I did what I do best, which is I look for resources and I read. I came across a book by William Bridges called Managing Transitions. In the next few minutes, I want to share with you some of the best key elements of this book that helped me really come to terms with the difference between change and transition and why that's so important for managers to take a step back and think about it. So change and transition are not the same thing. And this is something that I personally struggled with for a long time, and I think some leaders also struggle with. Change is the alteration in circumstances. So for example, when a call center extends their customer service hours, or when a team gets a new manager, or when you physically change the location of your desk, all of that is a change. Yet none of these changes are considered transitions. They don't really relate to the emotional or the behavioral part of when this change happens. So a transition is a personal transformation, and this is really important to grasp and understand as leaders and as a manager on this difference, because a successful transition has to acknowledge the transformation and the emotional part of the change. When managers try and push the change, sometimes they forget about that emotional part. And this leads to the proverbial employees checking out. They get defensive. They don't want to accept the change. And flat out, they become less productive. The most important parts of managing transitions are almost always self-evident, yet organizations and companies sometimes routinely forget or neglect them. They're not consistent. They're not truthful. There's not clarity. There's not communication. And there's not trust. And without that, leaders and managers sometimes don't commit to what they're actually going to do. And so for employees to be able to deal with the transition and handle it and be change effective, they need to understand the 3-phase approach, that there's always an ending to something. Then there's this neutral area, and then you can begin to accept the change. So the ending before the beginning, yes, I know it makes no logical sense, but you have to let it go. In order to get through the transition, you must realize that you have to stop the old before you can start the new. And I know it seems weird to realize, to think about it, but just like sunsets are proof that endings can be beautiful. Leaders and managers have to allow their folks to give time to stop doing what was so they can get ready for what is going to be. And there will be this phase where messy is going to be okay, in which you are in the place in between where you were and not quite where you want to be. And this phase will be chaos. It'll be confusion. And you'll be doubt and a little bit uncomfortable. But you have to let your team go through that. You have to personally go through that. Because at the end of that, once you can go through the loss, you start thinking about how you can make that change, how you can implement it, how you can be energized and prepared to make that change work. So why is this important? Why, of all the things that I could talk about this evening, why did I choose this? Well, leaders should make it very easy as possible for people to deal with change and transition. This forces us to understand that change does have loss associated with it. And it is always good to have a strategy in place to be able to implement that change. As leaders, we need to have clear conciseness about what is ending and what is not going to end. And that's key. Explain it in words, in fine detail, and be specific. Completely avoid generalizations. Spanish conquistador Hernando Cortez burnt his ships at Veracruz, making it very clear to his men that no matter how bad it was in Mexico, they couldn't go back to Spain. That's equally as important as what we need to do as leaders. And remember, emotions are okay. Transitions are difficult because people get invested in their work, and as leaders, we need to understand that. We need to take the time to let people work through those emotions so they can be positive change agents going forward. So my challenge to everyone here is the next time you go through a change and your work or through your work or your personal experiences, take the time to give yourself that period of transition so that you can acknowledge and accept the change that is coming, understand how it affects you so that you can embrace the change and implement it in the future. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so very much, Rachel. We're now going to move on to our second speaker of the evening, International Director Carol Prahinsky. Carol is also the past president of the National Speakers Association, Michigan, and in the Dynamic Leadership Pathway Level 2, Learning Your Style Mentoring, she's going to present When I Was a District Governor Protege. In 2013, a Toastmaster Division Governor, Carol, was elected as district governor with 88% of the votes. She and her trio didn't know what they didn't know. She asked two individuals to mentor her. Past international director, past region advisor, Cindy Pavella, and past district governor, Lisa Walkies. They continue to guide her step by step. So please join me in welcoming International Director Carol Prahinsky.
Thank you, Elaine. Yay! All right. I have a quote. Toastmasters is all about learning. And if you're not interested in learning, you don't belong in Toastmasters. I know that can be hard to hear, but this is why we're here, is to learn. Once we're into the mode of learning, I don't think we get out of it. I think we're always in this mode of learning. So hence my title, Once a Protege, Always a Protege. When I entered into the trio role, as it's known, there was three of us stepping forward into this role for the first time. All three of us brand new into District 62, Michigan. Lori on my left, well, on my right, which is your left, is the Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training, or the Club Growth Director as it's known today. Amy on my left, your right, is the Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training. And together, the three of us were very excited to step forward into the trio. And we were an amazing team. We each brought different strengths to the team and different histories that I think allowed us to be so strong as a group. But we knew we didn't have a clue what we were up for. And we needed all the help and guidance we could get. We met as a small group, just the three of us, and eventually we brought our treasurer along as well. But we needed to understand our strategy for the next couple of years. We wanted to make sure it was crystal clear what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, and so forth. But there was so much we didn't know. So we decided we needed to make sure that the past district governors, district directors now, were brought on board with us. We needed their help desperately. We needed their guidance along the journey. So we said, okay, let's bring them on. And there was two people in particular that I thought would be very important to us for different reasons. Like the three of us, they also brought different strengths to our team. The first one is Lisa Walkus. She's a past district governor. She was 2 years ahead of me in the process of being district governor. She was an amazing, and she still is, an amazing people person. Absolutely beautiful in her relationships with other people. She's a cheerleader. She's gung-ho, very supportive. And I knew we needed her help. And in particular, she knew all about chartering new clubs. And although we had started a few clubs, we weren't as skilled or as knowledgeable as she was. The second area was managing people. She's very, very good at it. So if we did have a couple hiccups along the way, we wanted her guidance, her expertise to guide us with what do we do next? We're having this problem. So we said, we'd like her to be on our team too. The second person we wanted to reach out to was Cindy Pavella. She's a past international director, past region advisor for multiple districts, which is in itself unusual. Past district governor, I'm sorry, she was a past district governor from multiple districts. And then she's still mentoring me. She's a part of one of my advanced clubs. She was another person I wanted to reach out to and bring on board. Now, she's not a fuzzy feeling type of person. She's not one to give you bear hugs and cheer you along in the same way Lisa is. She's very different from that. She will very nicely tell me, Carol, as wonderful as you are, that's not the right way. And she will guide me to say, you don't go down that path, Carol. And she very nicely kicks my butt to say no. And I wanted to listen to that wisdom as well. Now, Cindy's strength in particular was with budgeting, policy, and this thing called WHQ. So my treasurer and I looked at each other and said, what the heck does Cindy mean in this email when she says WHQ? I know some of you might say, of course she means, and you know what an acronym is, but we didn't know because, like I said, we didn't have a clue what we were involved with. It means world's headquarters. And so Cindy was referring to world headquarters and some policy decisions, and we felt really novice. But that's okay. We learned it, and that's what I mean by proteges. Once a protege, always a protege. We paid attention to Cindy. We knew that if she said we got a problem, we knew we had to fix it fast. And she's the person that in a district council meeting, if you have a problem, she'll tell you right in front of everybody. And that was not a place that we wanted to be. But she'll tell you in a way that says you got a problem and you need to fix it. We needed to listen to that wisdom. So what we did was we reached out to World Headquarters and ordered badges for these two trio mentors, and we gave them the official title of trio mentor. Trio mentor. And guess what? International President Mohammed Murad came to visit, and he's like, Lisa, what's this mean, trio mentor? And so she was able to explain that she was mentoring the trio and helping us on our journey to become better leaders. I think we ought to offer this position for all district trios. But mentoring is all about a variety of skills and developing us as individuals. Now, it's not to say we're eventually going to become famous, but the mentoring process is helping us to get to where it is that we want to be, whatever that might be. So they're providing experience and guidance. They're providing positive and supportive environment for us to continue our growth and learning. They're being respectful and caring. And they are committed and dependable. Now, I share these 4 aspects with you because I am working on the mentoring aspect of dynamic leadership, but I'm also recognizing the strength that they brought to me as an individual in my leadership growth and learning. All that is fantastic, but whoa, what's this? Lou, Brown, Glenda, Amy, Lisa, and Carol. Well, what this is our campaign just a month and a half ago. We were campaigning to elect me as international director, and Lisa and Cindy, my 2 mentors from 4 years earlier, are still mentoring me. And Amy, my number 2 in command at the trio level, is still there supporting and guiding me along my journey as a leader. And I've got 2 new people on this team, Glenda and Lou. Look at them, aren't they snazzy? Yeah, we had the hat motif, but wonderful, wonderful team of individuals. And I know we all learned from each other. I think that's what makes Toastmasters so much fun. Now, this happens to be my club, my advanced club, Toastmasters Advanced Club in Lansing area. And notice way over here on the right-hand side, there it is, that's Cindy, all right? And she has been a member of this club since before I joined in 2008. Now, she did take a hiatus for a little while, but now she's back, and we're thrilled to have her back because she's not mentoring just me. We have 1 immediate past district director on this board and 2 current members of the trio to my left. And we have maybe future trio members in this picture too, and a couple people that weren't in this image. But each one of these individuals is being mentored. They're being mentored by Cindy, maybe they're being mentored by me, but they're being mentored. And that is what I think makes us continue our improvement process, which is what Toastmasters is all about. Toastmasters is all about learning. And once you're a protege, I think you're always going to be a protege. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol, for that most enlightening introduction to mentoring and trio mentoring. How about that? Now coming up is Norman Dow, our 3rd presenter of the evening. He's an advanced communicator, gold level, advanced leader, bronze level. His evaluator tonight is Scott Johnston. He's continuing in the presentation mastery pathway at level 3. And Norman is giving his increasing knowledge using descriptive language project speech, our Achilles heel. And he says, the United States is a nation of unequaled promises. Few, if any, countries are founded on such noble ideals as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I'm going to let him proceed right now. His introduction just went out of my view. Please give a warm welcome to Norman Dow. Norman?
Let's try that again. Okay. I failed to unmute myself. The recent confirmation hearings, Church 2, Me Too, have caused me to think back on some of my old sin or sins that I knew about or didn't participate in, but way, way back once upon a time. And it's caused me to look at what the effect of what happened yesterday could potentially have today. It brought me back to something that happened at a school that was called Hampton Institute back then, now Hampton University, where I was a student in the late 60s. On Hampton's campus, there were a number of fraternities and sororities. One of the elite sororities was Delta Sigma Theta. These were the creme de la creme, the very intelligent, poised, wonderful future leaders of America. The women that, wow, you knew they might go somewhere, probably would go someplace. And fact about it, if we look at what happened to many of the Deltas, they actually did become quite famous. These are some of the famous Deltas. Dorothy Height from the National Association of Negro Women for over 40 years. Alexis Hemmons, who actually was the Secretary of the Department of Labor. Patricia Roberts Harris, who was the HHS Secretary and the HUD Secretary and Ambassador. And Ruby Dee. Many Deltas became very, very famous women. For some odd reason, though, the Deltas had a brother fraternity that wasn't known for being so great. They were Omega Psi Phi. They were called the dogs. They were over the top. In fact, about it, if Jean-Claude Van Damme had been on campus, he probably would have been a Q. We called them Qs. They branded themselves and were fascinated by women's breasts, of all things. But many of them became famous also. Dr. Benjamin Mays, Martin Luther King's mentor, Stephen Smith, Steve Harvey, Jesse Jackson, they're all Qs. They were probably crazy once upon a time. It reminded me of something that happened. The Deltas got together and they formed a circle. 45 women formed a circle and introduced a member of the Omega Psi Phi as their sweetheart. And as they introduced this guy, part of an organization that was fascinated by breast, he walked up to every woman in the circle, kissed them on the lips, and groped their breast. To the next one, and groped, and the next one, and groped. What was going through their mind? The first one was probably surprised, but the next and the next, they knew it was coming, but they stood there because they were part of a sisterhood. The guy, well, he was unknown to be a dog, and he was probably exercising that youthful, super macho exuberance. It was wrong. One after another, after another, after another. I think back upon what happened. Thank God there weren't cell phone cameras present at that time. Can you imagine trying to explain to your son or your daughter why mommy stood there and allowed herself to be groped? Can you imagine the man up for news anchor or judge or president or college president trying to explain why he did what he did when he was young? But as I thought about it, what happened then, I wasn't proud of. It still reminds me of what happened. This is over 45 years later. What is the key? And I think looking upon that, I saw what I say is the Achilles heel of Me Too, Church Too, even Black Lives Matter, and many of America's problems. And that is a refusal to say one thing. What happened was wrong. I was wrong. You see, saying it was wrong will not get rid of all of the negative things that went along with it. When a young man runs away from a police and the policeman, fired up by adrenaline, shoots the child or young man in the back, he made a mistake. the saying he was wrong will not bring the person back, but it takes away a lot of the anger and the vitriol. For the women who were groped in that ceremony on my campus or at the party that Kavanaugh was at, or in the presence of our president, it was wrong. I was wrong. It changes the whole thing. For people that are concerned about the Confederate statutes and all of that, about slavery, that the dialogue has been rewritten, history has been rewritten. Just saying, it was wrong. It takes a lot of the anger and the venom away, and we can start healing and moving forward. Fellow Toastmasters, as we look at what we did individually or what we were around that happened collectively, I think we need to get our heads out of the sand, fess up, man up, or woman up, as it were, and be willing to say when it was wrong, that what happened was wrong, or what I did was wrong. If we do that, I think we're on the path to healing and meeting the promise of this great land. Fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you oh so much, Norman, for ending on this positive note about healing. And right now, I would like to address our timer, Angie, and I would like to ask you for a report on the times for our three speakers this evening.
Okay, happy to tell you that Rachel finished her speech in 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Carol was 9 minutes. And Norman was 7 minutes and 8 seconds.
So I think we have 2 qualifiers for votes this evening. So please send your vote for best qualifying speech to our vote counter, David Carr. In the chat, select him and mark it private and send your vote to him, please.
I apologize. Who was disqualified?
Our speaker, Carol.
Carol was overtime? Okay.
9 minutes.
Okay. All right. So vote for Rachel or Norman, please.
Or Rachel or Norman. And as you're doing that, I would like to welcome our table topics master, Deborah Carr from Michigan.
Hey. All right, here we go, fellow Toastmasters. So tonight, we're talking about, kicking Fanny, and there's so many ways. And Scott, what I'd like to start out with you is there's days that you just feel like your fanny's really been kicked, and things can stress us out each day. It really can. So when you're looking at things to put you in a good mood instantly, what do you do and why?
Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master. It's strange. In Australia, we have a different definition for what fanny is and what kicking butt is, but I get the understanding of what you're talking about. What do? I think when things are down and I feel like I've been kicked in the butt from here, there, and everywhere, I think I just need to just settle down and think positively and get some. I think I really calm down if I'm getting kicked down by just generally just soothing down and listening to somebody like Jim Rohn or John Maxwell just to give me the positive aspect on life, because life can get you down. It's very, very negative at times, and we feel like we're getting thrown around everywhere. But that's what I usually do. If I think I'm getting depressed and suffering from anxiety because everybody hates me, I'm getting kicked here and everywhere. I just need to get some really positive energy. And the best place I get that positive energy is either through John Maxwell, Jim Rowan, or by going to a Toastmasters club, because Toastmasters are all very positive, and it's nice to be around positive sort of people that can drag you out of that that feeling of being butt kicked and moving forward in a very positive manner. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Jennifer, would you like a question?
Sure.
Thank you. A good friend once told me, she said, all days are good days, just some days are much better than others. So please tell us, on a day that starts out not so great, I mean, your knuckles are dragging and you're facing something really big, what is your go-to mantra? Or how do you choose to really get ready to just kick butt?
Thank you. On the days that start out where things just aren't going my way, I tend to take a moment to put myself in check. I'll sit back, I'll look around, and quite often I find that it's easy to focus on the minutia. It's easy to fixate on one particular problem in life, or 15, depending on the day. But I tend to take a step back and remember there's always a chance for better. If I have another hour or two, there's always a chance for progress. If I think about it, even going back to think of a hard month or a hard week, if I live to be 80, will a month of hardship really bother me? Probably not. It's all perspective. So I tend to remind myself that there's always opportunity in the process, that hardship doesn't last for long. And when those things don't work, I tend to get a little creative. I am a big fan of Amazon Music, so I will always dial back. And whether it is Moves Like Jagger or some other sister dancing song, there's always time for a dance session. So if there was a mantra, it would probably be do better and keep walking, keep moving forward. Beyond that, always just dance through it.
Thank you. Thank you. So Orlando, it's finally over. It's done, it's wrapped up, and it's finished, man. It is done. Your fanny is dragging so hard and long behind you, you actually thought somebody was stepping on your heels. But yet you're smiling because it feels so good. What was this project, and what was it that was accomplished?
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Toastmasters. About a couple years ago, I had to take a trip to the Comcast lab in Philly to solve a problem that was gonna cost the company millions of dollars. Comcast put in order for a product to buy from us, but there was a problem with the product, and they say until it's fixed, they're gonna cancel the order if it's not fixed within a certain time. And my name was mentioned that I had to go on the plane to go fix the problem. Thankfully, when I got there, I was able to troubleshoot and fix the problem within a day or two. And on my way back from Philadelphia, the CEO of the company that I worked for was on the plane also. And I was surprised when he smiled at me and gave me a high five, because the Comcast company has threatened to cancel an order that was gonna cost almost $500 million. So when they realized that I solved the problem, and I felt good that the CEO noticed that I'm the one that solved the problem because I was on the plane back from Philly with him, I was very happy. And I feel like I kicked butt. Back to you, Toastmasters.
Okay.
Thank you,
now-
everyone. And I turn this right back to Elaine.
Thank you. Yes, that concludes our table topics responses for the evening. And now we're going to move right on to our evaluations for the evening. The first will
we get
be,
a timers report so people can
oh,
vote.
absolutely. Thank you so much, David Carr. Timer, please give us a report on.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, every table topic speaker was under 2 minutes. Scott was 1 minute 46 seconds. Jennifer was 1 minute 33 seconds. And Rolanda was 1 minute 41 seconds.
That means all 3 table topics respondents can qualify for votes. Please send your vote selection to David Carr via the private chat. And now, on with evaluations. First will be Jim Barber evaluating Rachel Bruggen's speech.
There we go. Madam Toastmaster, thank you. My fellow Toastmasters, our guest, and especially Toastmaster Rachel Bruggen. Rachel, congratulations. You kicked butt with this presentation. Specifically, let's see, on the presentation itself, it was well researched, well written, well structured, well delivered. Congratulations. A's all around. As far as the well delivered goes, specifically, you had a strong vocal delivery, strong vocabulary. You didn't have much in the way of gestures, but since that wasn't needed because you were presenting slides, and so we really couldn't see you that much in the presentation, so that was fine. Speaking of slides, though, this is where I have a few suggestions. Your slides were good, but they could be better. For one, you used, it looked like Times Roman in your slides. Generally, a sans serif font is better, something like Arial or something like that. It reads a little bit easier. Also, some of the font sizes were getting almost too small to be easily read. And so enlarge them just a little bit if you need to, but actually I want to talk about words. Showing words is sometimes necessary, you have to do it, but words aren't interesting as a rule. If you've got a quotation or a statistic or something like that, that's interesting. But just a word itself doesn't capture people's attention. A picture does better. Now you can either put the word overlaid in front of a picture or something like that, but I would use more pictures in your slideshow, and I think it would make it more interesting and more visual, more memorable. And finally, let's see, several weeks ago, I gave Ryan, he's not here tonight, but I gave Ryan heck for closing his presentation with thank you. You didn't do that, but you did post that as your last slide, thank you, which was a total waste. We know you're saying thank you, don't do that. Instead, I would suggest for your final slide, put a picture of you, because again, I like pictures, put your name there just in case people have a short memory attention span. They need to be reminded who you were, and put your contact information so in case they want to come back to you with a question. Put that on your closing slide rather than thank you, and you will take your kick butt presentation and make it even kick buttier. This was interesting, effective, very well done. Congratulations. Madam Toastmaster.
Continuing on now to Evaluator 2, Adrienne, evaluating Carol Prahinsky's speech. And I also want to acknowledge you, Adrienne, for being our chat monitor this evening. We'll get to your report later on, but proceed as evaluator.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. To our famous Carol, she is so polished when she does her speeches. It is very difficult to find a way to evaluate her. However, with this particular speech, what you excelled at, engaging the audience with your speech. The topic was relevant, and you gave them new ideas to consider. You may want to work on using more personal stories that your audience is able to intimately know you on a personal level. We tend to hide behind presentations online, and our audience doesn't get to know us as individuals. You missed an opportunity to include your audience. More personal stories would have accomplished this, or by asking your audience, have you ever had an instance where you felt like you needed a mentor? To challenge yourself, elaborate. Tell us how you were able to secure 88% of the vote. You breezed right over that. That was quite an accomplishment. How did you do that? Did you campaign? Was it in the relationships that you had with the trio mentors that helped you? Did they campaign for you? How did the trio mentoring help you grow as a person? Were there ups and downs? What part of the mentoring really had an impact on you? Your clarity was exceptional. Your vocal variety you excelled at. There is a great opportunity missed there to use vocal variety. When you've mentioned WHQ, you could have said, and my mentor said, WHQ, you don't know what that is? That would have been a great opportunity to project your voice and to use vocal variety. You did a great job with the audience awareness. You were comfortable with your speech. The topic was interesting. And you did an awesome, awesome job. The one thing that also you can do is try to find ways to use your body language, facial expression, in order to convey some type of gestures during your speech to bring it alive. Other than that, you did an excellent job as usual. Very difficult to find something wrong, but I hope that I was able to come up with areas to help you. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. And last but not least for evaluating is Scott Johnston for Norman Dow's presentation. Take it away, Scott.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, and especially Norman, I think you really kick butt, Norman. I really like your style of speaking. Your purpose of your speech was to practice writing a speech with an emphasis on adding language to increase impact and interest. I think you really did that because I could tell that the topic was very much well researched. It was a very interesting topic also, and you certainly did have an introduction, you did have the body, and you did have a conclusion. It was well structured, and I really liked the transitions. Probably a couple of points for improvement. It was probably a bit, it was a slow start because you're having trouble with your muting and your pausing. And I really like your slides, and because there were graphics, so was pictures, so we could really relate to the pictures and the graphics, so well done for that. But I think it would have been nice if we just saw your face for a little bit longer. That introduction slide, I think, was probably on for too early. I would have liked you to have that slide, that starting slide, and then to see your face, because you spoke for 30 seconds or so before you launched into the rest. So it would have been nice just seeing your face. But I really enjoyed how you did the speech. I really liked the content, the closing. Another thing that you're really very enthusiastic about every topic. You're very passionate. You can see how passionate you are, and I really like that about you, Norman. But I would like you to probably try. I find that sometimes your voice is all the sameness. So if you could just alter your tone, your pitch, and probably just add a few pauses in there, because there was so much great content in there. I think you needed to really pause at certain times just to allow us to take it all in, because the content was so compelling. And personally, from an Australian point of view, I learned so much about the topic that you covered. So it was certainly interesting. And I looked around at the rest of the audience, and you could see how everybody was just glued to that screen and your voice. So a great speech. I really enjoyed it. Just take on board the slides and also the pause, and just try to alter your voice, because you have a very powerful voice. But if you can just alter it and change the tone a little bit, I think it would just add so much quality to your speech. But Norman, I really enjoy your speeches, and I look forward to the next one. Madam Toastmaster.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those are 3 really comprehensive evaluations. Thank you to you evaluators. Now we're going to, now I'd like to get a report from the timer, please. Did each of the evaluators
Yes.
extend their boundaries?
All 3 evaluators completed their evaluation within 3 minutes. Jim Barber was 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Adrian was 2 minutes and 21 seconds. And Scott was 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay. If each of you would please take a moment to send your vote for Best Evaluator of the Evening to David Carr privately in the chat. That's what's ready for you now. Now I would like to proceed on with some very concise and brief role reports of the evening. I'd like to start out with grammarian John Quick first. Proceed, John.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Rachel defined 2 similar words, transition and change, by finding the nuance between them, much like a film critic might find the subtle nuance between 2 movies which on the surface appear to be completely identical, Kickboxer and Bloodsport. Norman brought us a metaphor, Achilles' heel, which means a weak point, which can be your downfall. And he said it was saying that we're wrong. Norman, you made a disparaging remark about Mr. Jean-Claude Van Damme in your speech. And so I think it's time to start practicing saying we're wrong today. Otherwise, you might end up like this. Madam Toastmaster.
And now I'd like to proceed to counter Jim Barber.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. I'm not obsessive about counting Oz. I don't give a Jean-Claude Van Damme if somebody uses an occasional or ah. It's the chronic use of filled pauses that bothers me because it's distracting. And congratulations, nobody did that tonight. We had a few ums and ahs just to show I was counting. Elaine had used 1, Norman had 1, Jennifer had 1, Scott had 2. But they weren't distracting. It didn't require clicking. It's nothing that anybody has to worry about. It makes you sound human. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jim Barber. And now I'd like to hear from our watcher for the evening, Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. A couple of quick thoughts. First, on backgrounds, I noticed a lot of really good backgrounds. I don't know if they're all green screens per se. They could be curtains, shower curtains, blankets. I'm not sure what, but they all look great. For the rest of us, certainly we can strive to have some more neutral backgrounds that provide a non-distracting element to our cameras. Speaking of cameras, I probably have one of the lowest quality cameras here, and the lighting isn't all that great, so let's always strive to have a good camera with proper lighting, etc. And also being a good distance from the camera so that we're not too far, not too close, not looking down, not looking up. I want to make one particular observation. John, it looks like I'm looking through a door peephole when I look at your background, but I have to say, you yourself, you're very, very crisp. So I'm not sure how you get that effect, because the rest of us, while not completely not crisp, you are the crispest of the bunch. You kick butt, man. Madam Toastmaster.
So now it's time to bring a little more attention back to our lovely Adrian, chat monitor for the evening. Take it away, Adrian Williams.
Well, of course, everyone kicked butt. And when we saw the photo with the trio, I was thinking, is that Jean-Claude Van Damme with the long hair? No, it was Carol. None of us recognized who she was. If the names hadn't been on the slide, we would have never recognized her because we're used to her beautiful short hair. And that was a common topic in the chat. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Now, I would like to proceed to our general evaluator for the evening, Mr. Hev Sagan. Take it away.
Hi.
And thank you so much for being with us and picking on up this important role.
Hi everyone, your general evaluator of the week. And I was told from the beginning that I have 3 minutes to say, so in case that what I say is only 150, I'm going to repeat it again so that I could have 3 minutes. And as you like in the past, I has been in the club for like 2 meetings. I saw a lot of people, but somehow today we have only half of that number, only 14 people. But fortunately, everything go very, very well. Some people jump up at the role, and so all credit is to some of you, to all of you. And we have three speakers, three amazing speakers tonight. One of them is Rachel, talking about change. And from what I learned is if you don't deal with change effectively, all you have is changes. Dominic Paul. And Carol, once you a protege, always a protege. That's very, very interesting because all of us is a learner in Toastmasters. And from my personal experience is your success acceleration depend on your willingness to be corrected by your mentor. Because as an adult, we don't want to be corrected. We don't want correction. We always want, what's it called? What is it called? I don't know, forget it. And third speaker is also very interesting. It's related, it very, very like related to our news nowadays. Table topics masters. Table topic is very, very good too, and all revolve around kick butt day. Awesome. And in overall, we have a great meeting tonight. What the only thing that I would suggest is we don't have joke masters. We don't have any people tell the joke because like from I learned from the people involving National Speaker Association, they say that there are only two types of speakers, funny speaker and unemployed speaker. So all of you, if you want to make it big in the future, learn to be funny. So from this meeting, I would suggest that we add a joke master on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those most inspiring kick in the butt about having a joke master guidance, Ev. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'd like to now acknowledge our guest here this evening, Jennifer Dow. Jennifer, if you have anything to make a comment about your experience here with us tonight, turning the floor over to you as you desire, yay or nay.
Not much of a comment, but thank you for having me. It was great to check out an online club. I spend a lot of my time on technology on many video conferencing platforms. Never Ring Central, but this is nice. But it was just nice to see an online club and see what else Toastmasters has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us here tonight as a guest. And now, drum roll, I'm going to call upon David Carr, our treasurer and vote counter for the evening, to announce our vote winners for the evening.
All right. We'll work backwards, starting with the evaluators. I thought we were going to have an exact three-way tie. We had 9 people voting. We had 3 people voting for each evaluator until the very end, where I saw a late arriving vote tipped the balance to Adrian. Adrian, hey, Adrian, best evaluator tonight. Table topics was also pretty close between Rolando and Jennifer, but Rolando gets the prize. Rolando, hooray! And finally, our best speaker of the evening, actually pretty much by acclaim, landslide vote, Norman Dow. Hooray, Norman. Great job tonight.
This has been quite a stellar evening, presentations, really dynamic, quick responses and table topics, great evaluations. I'd like to ask David, since President of Online Presenters Jim Dent is not with us this evening, is there anything else, any other business you think we might need to cover before we close out our meeting?
Let's see. I had something on the website that I wanted to show people. If I can do that just quickly. No, somebody else is sharing their screen. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. So this is more for future reference. I want to make sure people know that when you go to our agenda, if you want to just view the whole agenda, you can go to show instead of print to just see it on screen. And if you scroll down, all the information, including the speech introduction, should be there. People have entered that online. One other trick, and a lot of people I don't think know this is there, and also actually it was broken until recently, but this agenda with contacts item will show you the list of who has signed up for what with their contact information. So if you need to reach out to people to confirm, and then down at the bottom it shows who's clicked that button to say they expect to be absent. And it also gives a listing of all the other members with their contact information, people who don't have an assignment. So those are the people you can pick on if you're trying to fill in the holes on the agenda. So just for future reference, that's an additional little techie trick that is available to you. And other than that, we'll try and go out by email and get people signed up for next week. And
David, is that your phone? Are you getting all those phone calls?
that is my wife calling, and I'm ignoring her.
Yeah, all right. We've done that before here, but all right. I was just like, you are a popular man.
But now it's on video. Fortunately, she will never watch this. I'm quite certain of that.
Like that ringtone too. That was some cool music.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll have to go momentarily. Thank you, all of you, for joining us tonight.